I'd like to call this meeting to order, special informational meeting, Select Board and the public on October 25th at 2:05. So welcome and thank you for coming. I hope a few more people wander in. I don't have an agenda in front of me.
Hold on. It's very simple.
I'm Molly Welch, the chair.
I'm Jeff Scramstead.
Vice.
Boris, the town clerk.
And
Familiar faces everywhere.
Kate is in Annapolis or something?
Yes, she actually will not be able to
Yes,
zoom in.
she can't zoom in.
I am Nick Morgan, town administrator. Do you want me to give my little spiel?
Yeah.
Okay. As you can see, we have BCTV here filming and providing speakers and audio. So that we should, for the people on Zoom, should be much more pleasant experience than it has been in the past. I still ask the audience members to, even though there are mics spread around the room, to please speak up so that you can be heard on the Zoom people. There's a speaker here, so they will be able to, if you want to turn off the HVAC, go ahead, just hit that button on the far left. They will, you will be able to hear them as well. If anyone who's present here, please, if you haven't done it yet, that's fine, just please make sure you sign in so that Forrest can have a record. People on Zoom, I would appreciate it if you would just sign your name into the chat box, again, so that we have a record of who attended. For those online, please mute yourself. And if you want to speak, hit the raise hand button. And then when you're called upon, you can unmute. We just don't want a lot of extra noise back and forth. There will be, the next meeting will be December 13th here at 2 o'clock, and we'll focus on, hopefully specifically on the roads, what was done this year, what is planned for next year, especially there's a big Ames Hill project, and Andrew can also answer questions about the GMP work that went on. And then the meeting after that is January 17th. And that will be a budget-centric meeting, both town and highway. And then on, I think it's the 28th of February. This is all on the Selectboard page, all 4 meetings of it were listed. And in the mixer, you can find it in the mixer too. The February 28th meeting is the statutory informational meeting prior to Election Day, town meeting day. So again, all we're going to do today is Forrest is going to give you a little primer on petitioning. Should you want or need to do a petition to add an article to the ballot?
I'd like to give a little resume of what we've been up to.
Okay, and Molly then is going to give a little resume, and then it's going to be opened up to you folks here and on Zoom. Really kind of open flow, and we'll go as long as there are questions. Okay, and I now hand it back off to Molly.
Okay, so I always like to thank you so much for coming. It's nice to have people involved, and I like to give a little resume of what we've been up to. We've been busy. It's been kind of a nutty year. Right, Forrest?
Oh, yeah.
So one of the things, I'll just give you a little list of the things we've been working on outside of the usual regular business. We revised the personnel policy because there were a few conflicts between, different practices. And so we went through that very carefully and made sure that we cleaned up any kind of inconsistencies or contradictions so that everything could be just smooth with all the town employees. And some are elected and some are appointed and some are hired. So we had to kind of smooth that out so that it was fair for everybody, but not constrictive. Including in that, which is still in process, a fair pay scale so that people know that after a year they'll get certain percentage up, and then after, like it's a very good pay scale so people know that they don't have to wait 11 years or whatever for us to get a pay raise, and that it's fair, so it's a really good pay scale. We're still working on that to make sure that everyone's placed properly in the, because you start at different rates and you have different skills, and so we have to make sure that everybody's lined up. So the other big thing we did this year was emergency management. We did some state training, and we updated our documentation for our plan, LEMP. What's that stand for again?
LHMP, Local Hazard Mitigation Plan.
LHMP, which we paid to have updated
But we had a grant.
with a grant. And so it's got all the possible things to watch out for, including, flooding and snow and power outages and various things. And is that on the website?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's just real quick, it's a list of items that the town can focus on moving forward for the next 5 years. It's not a demand list, it's a, you might want to look at this list.
And
apply
who's
for grants.
responsible for what, and it's very good. It's very detailed, and we did a big training with a lot of people in the office about what do you call it, a game or whatever, a tabletop exercise with the state observing us and giving us feedback months later. But they finally did give us feedback about where the system might be weak, like. The Selectboard can't possibly be expected to stay in the office for 3 days straight. There's got to be some sort of rotation, simple things like that. So that was really good work. And we appointed a local EMS volunteer, Keats, do you know their last name?
Diefenbach.
Who's very interested in, they're on the fire department, right, EMS?
Yes.
And they're very interested in becoming accredited as an emergency management person. And so that's really good. We have Jay, but he lives all the way in Bellows Falls. So Keats lives in town here. So that was really good. Big thing was we searched and finally found a new zoning administrator. And we were very, very lucky because we got a pro. Her name is Jessica Roberts, and she was the zoning administrator for Wilmington, which does like 7 times more permits per year than we do. She was getting a little burned out in that job. Her husband is a pastor, and they have 3 churches that they maintain, and man and woman. So she's really good. She's going to have office hours. She lives over in Arlington, so she'll be doing some days on Zoom. And she'll have office hours, and she's working already. She only started at October 13th. She's already revising, making things smoother for people, and she'll be available for people. And Mary is going to continue to work part-time, assisting the Planning Commission and the DRB as needed. And we all need to find a way to thank her for her 30 years. Something, how many?
16.
Oh,
something
16
like that.
years. So she's got a lot of expertise, and she's very helpful. And she and Jessica are working together quite well to make the transition. Another thing, yes?
Jessica's going to be here in person one day a week?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So have set hours.
she'll have walk-in up till 4 o'clock and then appointments till 6 o'clock. So we also, we're requested to revise our road sign ordinance for 911 safety. So we've worked with, what's his name?
I'm sorry.
Alan McLean, right?
Yeah, he's the
Alan
road,
McLean.
he's the
So
911.
we agreed with him that all the roads, private roads, all the roads would have the same official sign. And we're gonna buy one for all the private roads that don't have it yet. And then if they lose it or if somebody steals it, the private road people have to buy their own, the second one. But we're going to replace a lot of the signs and make sure that every property has a 911 address so that emergency services can reach them. We already talked about the speed bumps, which were very successful. We borrowed those lighted signs from Brattleboro, but since then, Andrew has found that we own some, and he's fixed them up, get new batteries for them, so we're not going to have to borrow them in the future. One thing that we're in the middle of right now is revising our road ordinance, which is gives guidelines for if somebody wants to build a new road in town, or if someone who has a private road wants it to become a public road, what are the standards that they have to follow, like how wide, how ditching, culverts and stuff, just to make it clear so that people can't just say, I want my driveway to become a public road. And also similarly, we're looking at, are there any roads in town that we could take from a class 3 to a class 4, meaning that we wouldn't maintain or plow them. For example, the old Hogback Road doesn't have any residents on it. Parts of Stark Road don't have any residents on it. So we're thinking that maybe we can cut down the road budget a little bit by approaching some of those roads so that we can save some maintenance. Let's see. Yeah, like I said, we've been working on making sure everybody who works in town is fairly compensated and knows where they stand. And we're trying to seek some cost-cutting mechanisms. For example, Rebecca is taking as much money as she can and investing it in interest-bearing accounts for months or periods of the year so that when we need it, we can get it back, but it's been making money instead of just sitting in our account. I think some of the school money is going to be invested that way, and that's very helpful. We have contracted for a new plow truck, which is going to be ready in 2028, which is handy because all of our loans for the grader and the loader and the other things, we have like 4 loans, municipal loans, are all going to get paid off in 2027. So then we'll have some money set aside from the capital funds that we've been asking for. We have $50,000 in that for the road crew equipment. And then in 3 years we'll have 150, and then we'll borrow a very low interest municipal loan for that. And so we're trying to look ahead instead of getting caught by surprise on the road crew. The GMP on Ames Hill was a bit of a disaster. But Andrew's been following up on it and making them, like they had to redo some of the culverts because they weren't done properly and they had to follow certain guidelines. So hats off to Andrew for being on top of that. We had a mold remediation at the town garage. We did not go all the way in terms of tearing out all the sheetrock, but we did do clean and paint with mold resistant paint, so that's really better for the health of the guys. And we also managed to get rid of the first aid building on Hogback. A terrible danger. Nobody fell in the basement, nobody died, and nobody sued us. One last thing is that we ran into some trouble with residents on the big summer job on Adams Brook Road and Stratton Hill because people were taken by surprise. So we're now going to be following a protocol. In fact, I think one of these meetings is dedicated to Andrew saying where the work is going to be next summer so that people would know. And we're going to write people on the landowners and make sure everyone's comfortable with removing trees and everything like that. It was quite challenging because we had a couple of residents up on Stratton Hill that just didn't want it to be done and just didn't want it to be done. And then a lot of the other people on the road were coming into the meetings all the time going, we love it, keep going. So we figure we can reduce that kind of disaster by letting everybody know and having open comment beforehand. So that's all those things we've been working on. Yes, Jeff?
The other thing is that Andrew will tell you is that this road work for next summer, of course, a lot of the prep work has to be done in the winter.
Right.
So they'll start doing some of that work in the winter time with brush removal and stuff like that, instead of waiting to try to do it all in the summer. So it'll give people a head up that if it starts in January or February, you'll understand what they're doing and why.
And the impacted landowners that they're actually doing the work on, in front of their property were advised by letter. And actually Andrew, I think, called each of them. So,
And if he's going to be, oh yes, Clarence.
A quick question. There's an awful lot of dead ash trees
Right.
and others on the various back roads.
Right.
And some of them this winter are going to be dropping stuff in the road if we get a heavy wet storm.
Right.
And there's some that I was surprised didn't come down with some of the wind we've had in the
Yeah.
last 2 months.
Well, I know he's got a plan. I was just going to say he's got a plan to take down a lot of ash on Ames Hill. You might, if you've driven down there, you might have seen the ribbons marking some trees.
I try to avoid Ames Hill as much as possible.
Yeah, that's a super highway, right? So I'll make a note of that to say, ask Andrew if he's going to be doing more tree cutting, because that's, if it's not, if they're not plowing, that's what they do. They go out and take down trees. So the one last point is that when they do take down trees, the people whose property the tree is on have first dibs at the firewood, right? If they don't want the firewood, the town road crew is going to bring the wood to the town garage and people can apply to have it. So
they will not cut and split.
they're not going to bucket and split it, but you could, if people need firewood, there would be access. There's going to be a lot this winter because I see there's a whole lot of trees that he's going to be taking down.
A fair percentage of the dead trees, the ash especially, are actually within the boundary of the town road.
Absolutely. Some of them are in the road, I've noticed. So some of them are too big, and I don't know if we're going to hire, like there's one on Town Hill that I know if it comes down, it's going to be a disaster. I marked it with a pink tape, and I've asked GMP, and I've asked Consolidated. It's split, it's like a tree that's got a 12-foot split in it, and it's only got this much holding it, and if it comes down, it's going to take out power, EV fiber, everything, but I can't, it's way too challenging for us to do, so.
One final quick question. Is there anything for a chart that shows what the actual widths are, whether it's a 2-rod or a 3-rod road?
Yeah, that is something that we came across on the Stratton Hill and Adams Brook Road. They vary a lot. And so that with revising the road ordinances, there's going to be a lot of measuring and, ascertaining whether it needs to be widened. I mean, we tried to widen Stratton Hill a little bit, but really wasn't very easy because it's hard to plow those roads.
And also then, a lot of times these roads, there's been some encroachment on the, grass and stuff, but also like within 6 inches of the actual end of the road is a stone fence. And very, that creates, when he was doing the ditching up on Cowpath, there was, they did a great job, but they had to be creative because of the stone
you can't touch
fencing
stone walls,
is protected and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So,
Can I do one
sorry to
thing
go
GMP?
on and on. What?
On GMP,
What about it?
just the impact and and that we're finishing up and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I said that it was problematic and that Andrew was all over them like a cheap suit, if you don't mind the phrase, and has done a really good job. The whole idea is that the power will not go out that comes up that road.
Yeah,
And,
it's all about resiliency and just for your, if you were inconvenienced this summer at all, realize that by doing this work, they replaced over 30 culverts. At
which
no
we
cost
didn't
to
have
us.
to pay for. Just brilliant. Like,
I must admit, in some of the heavy rains we've had, I've noticed that the stoning the ditches has made one hell of a difference in water removal.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, yes, it was an inconvenience, but at zero cost to the town to replace that many old metal culverts with high-end plastic and fiberglass and stuff is incalculable amount of money that the town saved, quite frankly, or that GM, as part of their,
they're getting federal money, if you can believe that.
Yeah.
Well, I can believe it, but unfortunately, Sticky Fingers is at it now.
Yeah. So on Town Hill, he did the big ditching, but that's out of compliance right now because they haven't put rock down there yet as a cost-saving device. That'll be something that we do next year. And if there's a certain degree of up and down, you're required to put in this big rock, which he hasn't done. Nor has he done the grass spraying, but that he decided to put that off. Hello. All right, thank you for listening to me going on, and now I'll turn it over to Forrest about the main focus of this is how do you get items on the ballot
Warning.
in the morning.
Can I borrow the handout?
And
Thanks.
it's a good process. You need to petition for anything. Here's
Yeah,
how you do
there
it.
were some copies there, and it will also be up on the screen.
Sure.
If anybody
Okay,
on
good copies
Zoom
here if you want.
wants a hard copy, I'll be in the office on Tuesday afternoon. If you want to come by, I'll have some hard copies for you to pick up if you want them.
Hi, folks, many of you probably have done petitions or know about this process, but I'm just gonna outline it broadly. It's a brilliant thing in Vermont. Any citizen can come to town government and put something before the voters. The process is laid out in Vermont statute. And essentially, the select board and the school board each year coming up with the articles that are gonna be voted on. The material can arrive to them in any number of ways. Hello. So citizens can
Iris?
get it. Yep, go ahead.
Can you sign in?
So if the board, the select board decides to put articles on the ballot, they can, but they also can, citizens can bring them forward. The petition must have the language, the same language across the top. It's in your handout on the bottom of the third page. It's just an example of the type of wording that's needed. And the petition must have 5% of the voters on it. So they have to be registered voters of the town. That number in Marlboro is around 40, but it's a fairly straightforward process. I'm here to help anyone that wants to bring something forward. I can't suggest language, but I can tell you what's kind of fits within the framework. And I think it's interesting, as I was saying, of just like what citizen rights, voter rights are. A voter in town can get a petition with 40 signatures at any time of the year to call a special meeting for something that they think is very important, and the town has to act in response to that. Let's see, and there are details obviously about the what the petition must contain, but again, I think that rather than me just blathering about it, you can look at the proposal, and honestly, all of you vote each year, so you've seen the type of language that happens.
Excuse me, Forrest, do you
Yeah.
think it might be advantageous we can post this up onto the town clerk page?
Sure.
So, yeah, I'll next week, I'll post this up on the town clerk page of the website so that you can read it at your leisure.
Yeah, I mean, so the second page of the handout, it details these various ways that articles can come before the town government. So there are binding articles, non-binding articles, and then this is frivolous or illegal articles. So that's fun.
Yeah, like what?
Well, it would be something that has hate speech in it, for instance.
Okay.
That is like, okay, yeah, I get that that's something that someone wants to petition, but the select board can say, yeah, this is not something that the town has any say over, you know what I mean, larger federal topics, that type of thing. It's happened in the past, and it's not that it's not friendly to it, but they have to make that judgment call sometimes if something comes forward that's questionable. But binding articles, are going to be things like financial things, votes on budgets and that type of thing. Non-binding articles are more like it's the sense of the voters of the town, X, Y, and Z. I'm trying to think of one that's been in the past. We had one about energy efficiency, I think. So again, it's like it makes sense that be on there to get a sense of the town.
Those have also been used to make sort of larger political statements.
Indeed.
The anti-nuclear war one.
Right, that's right. Right, that was a big one. Yes.
It was a big one.
Yeah.
So all over the state, and there was, I went to the New York parade that carried it to the UN, and
Wow.
The streets of New York were full of people cheering the state of Vermont because we had
Yeah, for saying something.
how many towns it was that had that petition, but it was most of the towns in the state by quite a large margin.
Very cool. No, that's great. Thanks for that input. Anyway, I think those are the broad strokes. If anyone has any questions at any time, just holler. The last page has the calendar for this upcoming meeting cycle. These dates are all set in statute, and the upcoming meetings, particularly the one on January 17th, which will be about the budget, is where the rubber meets the road, as it were, and we'll be all talking about all the things that we're trying to work on, and hear from the voters about their ideas.
I will make a note, will make a note here real quick. Whereas last year, the statutory meeting for both the town and the school board were held on the same day at the school. That is not going to happen this year. The statutory meeting for the town will be here. I do not know what the school board is doing.
Sounds good. January 17th is the date of the Saturday 2 p.m. meeting that we'll be discussing the budget. It's not on this calendar here.
Okay.
That was confusing. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, these are due dates for when you have to get petitions in, right?
Yes, correct. So the Thursday, January 15th is the last day to file petitions. So any citizens that want to file petitions, January 15th is the day it needs to be in by. And the first day to warn town meeting will be January 22nd. January 26th will be the day, the last day to file petitions to be on the ballot to run for office. January 27th, the auditors show their 10-day notice of finishing their work for the year. Then we mail the ballots out by the 11th of February, and the town report coming soon thereafter. So that's the outline in general. If anyone has questions, just holler.
And also, just so
Pretty
you
clear.
know, the last meeting we had a quarterly report from the treasurer. So if you're interested in where we are in relation to our guess about the budget, that information is on the minutes, or
I don't post her documents. We can talk about that.
Yeah.
The minutes will be coming out, but I'm not going to get into particulars in the minutes. You can always come and pose a question to the treasurer, we'll talk about whether we post that information. I think
Yeah.
it might just be very confusing
Yeah.
to be
Well,
posting quarterly numbers.
I guess because we've been doing it so long, it's so nice to have very clear documents in case you want to be more well prepared when we get around to January 17th to figure out where we're at. You know, the budget has been very high. We're trying to find ways to cut costs.
I anticipate having the budget information out a couple of days before the meeting. So, that what we're going to be discussing at the meeting, Rebecca's really on top of things, so I'll talk to her about that. And you can advise me, I'd speak with Rebecca and then see if we want to
Find
post
out
it.
what she thinks. But she's figured out ways to make it very clear, and it's such a relief. A couple of years ago, I was like, what's going on here? But now it's like, this is what we said we were going to spend. This is how much we've spent so far, and we're either over or under. So it's really, really helpful in terms of writing the budget for next year. Where did we overestimate? Where did we underestimate? So where do we go from here?
Does anybody else have any comments for I would just open it up to questions and comments from the?
I could just briefly detail, the listers are maybe 2/3 of the way through our inspections of every property. We're rolling through the roads, and things are looking, fairly good. We're not looking at numbers yet. We're just like filling our data cards with information. But so far so good. And so new values will be coming out at the end of May. We'll have lots of discussion. There'll be many choices to ask questions and look at the appraisals as they come out. I'm expecting, as a result of that, because Molly was talking about how the budgets have been high, which is true, the reappraisal will really help everyone, because the tax rate for the last 2 years has been over $3, which in my 20 years of working for the town government, it's only happened one other time. We were over $3 on the tax rate. So once the value of the town goes up, the tax rate will be driven down quite a ways. So it's something to look forward to.
That reminds me of,
That doesn't reduce taxes.
Taxes are voted on by the budgets, but I'm just saying proportionately, it's still. In a way, the whole thing is fairly circular. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, those are the broad strokes.
that reminds me about the Potash Hill
Yes,
tax rate, you're working on that with the state?
Yeah, so the state assistant attorney general and the commercial fee appraiser from New Hampshire has been working with the state producing an appraisal of all of the Potash Hill property. It's not come out yet, so that's in the works, and once we have a number, we'll be talking with them, and we'll be talking about the listers. We'll be bringing an article forward for, we're hoping this timeline works, but for town meeting, that'll be an exemption, off the top of whatever that appraisal states is the fair market value of the property. So those are the broad strokes, but again, we have a lot of work to do to figure out the details and the mechanisms and so forth.
Because it doesn't have the educational rating anymore, because the music festival doesn't count as an educational facility, so they really should be paying a lot more taxes. But it's delicate.
Yeah,
It's delicate.
Yeah, it's a fine line between honoring their use, but in the past, basically the current tax structure is, like you're saying, is based on the state statutes around colleges, and so as the use has changed, it doesn't quite fit anymore. So we have to find a way to both produce something that's fair to all sides. Just going to be a process, but just acknowledging that. The current amount of taxes that institution pays is very low compared to the value of the property that's there. And then there's a whole other layer also, which is zoning, which I imagine Jessica will be digging into at some point.
Yeah, the new subdivision.
Yeah.
The planning commission is working on new subdivision rules, major subdivision, minor subdivision, and they'll be submitting that for public comment sometime. Soon, yeah. It's been a bigger job than they thought.
And then subsequent to that being done, probably in 2027, we will also look to do a revision of the rest of the regulations, which have not been revised since 2018. So it's just about the right time to do it. And as I said, Jessica Roberts, our new zoning administrator, has already seen a few things that we're going to make some quick adjustments to, but it's time to get those things updated, because there's been several acts, the Home Act, Act 181, Act 171,
the flood thing,
and the flood thing. So there's been, and so there's a real need to update the zoning regs, and hopefully what we're going to do is get a grant to be able to contract with a professional, with the WRC, to help us with that.
So,
Any questions online?
I'd like to put it open to anybody who has any comments or questions. Anything you'd like to put on the warning? Anybody have any particular ideas? Clarence?
I may be opening a can of worms, but one of the things that I have wondered about, as you know, I enjoy the use of firearms. I've been a competitive shooter, both trap, a trap and rifle and the like. But I hear an awful lot of shooting coming, and I'm not sure exactly where it's coming from. I don't have a hassle with somebody going out and having target practice. The only thing I would like to know is about making sure that they have an adequately safe range to utilize. I mean, mine, the backstop is over 1,000 feet of ledge buried under what soil there is between me and the adjoining landowner. And
I know we had one incident on Hogback. Was it last year?
No.
The year before, 2 years ago, where someone was shooting, and there's no regulation against it except they weren't. I mean, and we yelled at them, because they weren't caught in the act or anything like that.
Yes, but that's a really good point. I think it would be interesting to find out what the state laws are with that, and maybe send our constable around to.
as far as I know, the state law is such that any unsafe facility, they just got rid of that one over above Bennington. That, I'm not professional at it, but I've had a lot of experience at, helping to build ranges and run the local sportsman club down there. For a while, for 30 years, I ran trap and most of the rifle events. But if somebody, wanted to get an idea, is this facility, safe, I can take a quick look and see if they have adequate backstops and if they have adequate facilities, for communicating in case there is an accident.
Right.
And
I can think of a few places that need to be looked at.
human stupidity, unfortunately, is a failing that the human race will never get rid of.
That's a good point. Thank you, Clarence. Anyone else? Anyone online?
Any
Comment?
online questions, suggestions, observations?
Can we ask them how the sound's there?
Yeah, how is the sound? People on.
I haven't had any complaints. I think they're all asleep.
Not those people. Yes.
Okay, we got
Nancy.
a Peggy said it's good. Timothy says it's good. Gussie said it's good.
Okay, good.
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 Sandra says it's good.
Thank you.
Nancy.
Sandra says you're mushy sitting way over there.
Who, me?
Yeah, you're not as clear as the others.
That's just because I can't speak.
Okay, you're forgiven.
No, I think it's my computer is in front of the microphone. I think that was the issue because I literally have a microphone 2 feet from me.
Okay.
All right, Nancy?
Could you refresh me on when you and where you announce the availability of the town reports once they're printed and out?
Forrest?
It's the auditor's responsibility.
Okay.
The statutory date is the 21st of February.
Oh, okay.
So it's usually after ballots have gone out. Rebecca has been talking with the auditors about, ways that we can be ahead of the game so it's not such a scramble at the end. It's always a fairly high pressure thing putting that together. But we're going to try to help the auditors to, have a little bit more of the background stuff that's more static done in advance of the final numbers. And often we're waiting on the school stuff as well, just because everyone's trying to scramble to pull the numbers together. But
Also, we need to update the way they manage the actual production of the town report, which seems to me to be really antiquated and very labor intensive and stressful.
Yes, yeah, no, we're trying to come up with some solutions that will work with them to streamline it a little bit. So yeah, thanks for that. And we'll see. Again, I don't want to speak too much about it because it is their bailiwick. But we're aware that to tighten that timeline so that they come out more simultaneously would be the goal. So thanks.
Yeah, we moved up some of the budget stuff way earlier so people could have a chance to make adjustments and it's not last minute like, oh, here we
Yeah,
go.
right.
So we're working on that to make it so that everybody has enough time to think about it and make suggestions. How do people feel about the recycling center?
Never been cleaner.
Yeah,
It's been great. It's been open every time I've been. I mean, there's been space in the bins.
yeah, yeah. It is a big expense.
Yeah. The only thing I would say about it is, I've had a lot of times when I've gone over there to put stuff in and found the containers, filled to the point of being foolish trying to put any more in, is that if we could work out some way that maybe somebody in the highway department just, give a yell over to.
That's in process. Sometimes it's just, we're 3/4 full and then there's and they schedule the pickup and in that time, it gets filled up. Just gotta come back, there's just nothing, there's no way around it. You just gotta come back.
No, it's just a case of, if you know ahead of time before you go over that they're pretty well filled, you don't waste the trip.
Yeah,
That's less gas burned and less fumes that are floating
Yeah.
around.
I haven't run into that very often lately. In fact, I wonder if they're taking away bins that aren't completely filled, which worries me because that's a waste of energy and whatnot. So
I mean, one thing that we've tried to do is have just one bin open at a time, and Andrew would zip tie the one that wasn't to be used, and people come and cut the zip ties.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's just all that I could suggest is exert pressure on your neighbors and say, don't cut the zip ties. And it's not. It's all he can do is, he's not going to lock them up with chains and stuff. I mean, that doesn't.
we do
make
have
sense.
the modern surveillance system there.
We do have. And tell your neighbors we have cameras so we can see who's doing it.
There's a lot of footage of me and my dog.
But no, I hear you, and it's just there's only so much we can do.
We're trying.
Now, my only thought was that if anybody in the highway crew, the first one there, take a look and okay, they're full. Just have some way that the word can be spread.
Yeah, I think Andrew communicates with Rebecca, and then Rebecca sets up the pickup.
And also, a lot of people make notice on the Marlboro community page. There are constantly notes about
Half full, 3/4
it's full, or it's they just emptied it. So
Now, my routine is that we are by choice computer illiterate because I've had too many friends that have been done pretty badly by the computer. Right now, I'm making a list of names, and I'm using *69 to get the numbers, and I'm going to be talking to Consolidated about the nuisance calls I'm getting.
Oh my God.
And plus the ones that there's always somebody, an elderly voice and not, I won't say a foreign accent, but definitely not.
We don't answer our phone anymore. We just wait and see if anybody leaves a message, and then we call them back.
Alice White calls our house at least 10 times a week.
Especially now with the Medicare
Yeah.
enrollment, it's crazy.
just to to let you know how these companies do that, and I'm sure people are getting a lot of stuff from the Democratic Governors Association recently, but they buy blocks of phone numbers. They don't buy individual phone numbers. They buy 10,000 phone numbers within a block of numbers, and they're all sequential, and the machines just go through call, and if they...
A lot of the calls that I'm getting, especially the ones that have anything about Medicare, Medicaid, or whatever, I very definitely think are, AI, but...
Well, no, it's definitely AI generated. I'm just saying is they're not getting your specific number. They're just buying a block of numbers that includes yours, and so you'll get a call.
Oh, yeah.
Medicare, I would think, also sells their list.
No,
Medicare doesn't.
no.
It's a fellow government.
I wouldn't
Quick,
I trust it.
Not all people.
A quick piece of information. I worked for the Reformer for 20 years. And I can remember the 3 occasions when they got, a telemarketing group in there. And they're run like the old, college kids, trying to sell subscriptions, encyclopedias, to work their way through college.
It's all different now.
They're boiler rooms, and I threw the manager out there one day. I said, I don't care what you've got. You don't come on and you don't berate somebody because they were polite on the phone and didn't, try to force somebody into signing up. And I mean, they're run literally like, hey, you don't count. You're just a peon that needs money, and
I know, it's terrible.
you're gonna do what I want. And I think I was one of the reasons why they decided we weren't gonna have the phone bit anymore.
So, Marcia, do you have anything to say about the cemetery process or anything? How's that going?
Good, very well. I've had some stones repaired this year in both Center Cemetery and King Cemetery. And they were leaning or on the ground, and now they're upright and facing the day.
That's good.
Thank you.
And then we've had, Forrest knows more about that activity at King Cemetery, at the New King. And it's just, the cemetery commission is just puttering along and we're doing okay.
That's good. I'm glad that it was formed. Yeah, we brought in some money from selling things.
I think we've sold 16 plots, something like that. So we basically made back the money that it cost to do the clearing and all the work. So that's good. But we're in very good standing, and there's always more to do. But the process has been fascinating. Obviously, I've never made a cemetery before, and we learned a lot. It was a great team effort. And actually, recently, Abiyati went and put cornerstones in a bunch of the newer plots. And that was fascinating to go back and find all the pins that we had put in the ground in May and the way that the grass had grown over them. But once we found our lines, we were able to lay out a grid and know that, what we were selling to people we could find again. But no, it's gone very well. And I'm just pleased that there's ample space for lots of folks. And it's a great thing.
Yeah. I think there's somebody on.
Yes, Timothy asks, with regard to Potash Hill, what are the 3 new structures on South Road just before Potash? Are they part of Potash? What are they going to be used for?
Yes.
I can answer that.
Yes.
They're for housing for musicians mostly in the summer. They're not fancy the way the other ones were. These are more decorated.
Yeah, that was a zoning effort to get a special, what do they call it, PUD?
Yes.
A sort of a deviation from the usual zoning for a particular purpose. And so,
And the music schools run into a different situation than it's had in the past, because many more musicians come for a short period of time it used to be everybody came for the whole summer. And they don't anymore. At least the senior musicians. And so the crossover of having housing for them gets really difficult, and there isn't much housing off campus that they can use. So they really did need this housing, and they rent them out in the winter too. Last winter, a lot of it was rented out to Mount Snow workers.
and they're complete and furnished and everything. That was quick.
Yeah.
Great.
I got nothing.
Tim, does that answer your question?
For now.
He also said, I have received a check intended for Clark Warren. Are donations still accepted? I don't even know
What is Clark?
Yes, of
Warren?
course.
Yes,
Yeah, Marcia could probably.
yes, they are.
Okay, Marcia says yes, they are.
And send it, is it from Beverly Kaloji?
I'm waiting for Tim. You can unmute and talk.
I think it's from her family,
Okay,
but I haven't respond. I just got it. I was going to respond in a thank you note, but to explain that probably the corporation has ceased or will cease, and let her know that if she wants to send the town or the commission money still, she can do it next year.
I would suggest that we accept that check, and I can send her a note since I know her, and just explain that the town is taking care of the cemetery now, and her donations are still welcome.
If you would like to take it, I accept it. I will bring it to you. But it had been my intent to send her the note. If you want to send her the note, that's fine. I'll bring it over as soon as I can.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah, always take donations.
Yes, is always the
That's the rule.
Unless you're using it.
Yeah. So, Kate Morgan, anything on your mind?
No, just listening. All sounds good to me.
Yeah, we're trying. Max, got any questions about your town?
No, still here.
How about the junior member?
I think he was concerned with something else.
Oh, that's
It's one of the most good-natured babies I've ever met in my life.
Again, I appeal to the Zoom attendees. Anything? Just go ahead and unmute and let it loose.
Well, the main purpose of this meeting was just to lay out the plan. You may have noticed that we're doing one fewer meeting. And we also tried to make it more specific. So this meeting was meant to educate people about how to get something on the warning, on the ballot, and to give some idea about the dates. Thank you. Did you put this together for us?
I did, yeah.
Nice handout. And just to give you a little resume of what we've been up to, and to reassure you that we're trying to stop spending money like water. We're catching up on the road. We're catching up on the equipment.
Catching up on a lot of deferred maintenance.
Yeah, we're catching up on a lot of things and going through and making sure that it's, reflects what the law is. We've come up with a lot of places where we were out of compliance in various ways. And Jessica Roberts has found already like 2 or 3 things in our zoning regs that are completely out of compliance with state law. So we got a lot of people ferreting around trying to clean up and make it work. So thank you so much for coming.
And last year, we had 2 big projects, that the first aid building and the mold situation that needed to be addressed, and we've addressed those. And
That reminds me, there's one other point. You may remember that we had to come up with an astronomical amount of money to restore the retirement for people it was a state law as of 1974 that we were required to provide retirement, and we hadn't. And in order to get people up, back into the program, we had to come up with something like almost $300,000, just right out of nowhere with no warning. So Rebecca, the treasurer, is working on a way to slowly get that money back in budgets, like maybe $20,000 a year, until we get out from underneath the loans that we still have, so that we can reimburse through new payments from the taxpayers, reimburse the town for that money. So it's sort of complicated. I don't exactly understand the finances, but in a way we would want to repay ourselves for that money over time in small or large amounts, depending on what we can do. So that's something to make sure to ask Rebecca about.
yeah, it's an accounting function. It's not more money. money's already gone out. Now it's just a question of how do you, in your accounting, cover that within the accounting framework. And she can explain it much better than any of us.
Than we can. That's an issue. That was like one of the big surprises. Along with, two of the trucks, both of their emission, systems went belly up, like $17,000 each. That wasn't planned on, and so we've had some blows, but we're
getting there.
We're getting there. So yes, Kate.
I want to say one last thing, an appreciation actually to be able to have a town meeting as informative as this is, and then to be surrounded by town art.
Yes. Yes.
It
Do you have a piece in your?
It feels great.
Do you have a piece in your, Kate?
I do. It's lying down. You can't see it.
Okay.
It's right behind you though.
And I will just add
go ahead.
one last thing is, hopefully you found this meeting both online and here acceptable. And I would just again urge people that the second and fourth Thursday of the month, Select Board holds a meeting. Everybody is always welcome. We do have an open public comment section right at the beginning for 10 minutes of whatever you want to say. It's in the town office, so the owl works very well so people can hear. And if you feel it's a bigger issue that requires more than 5 minutes or so, send me an email at townadministrator@marlborovt.us and request time at a meeting. It might not happen at the next meeting because of the scheduling, but I will schedule you in for a set period of time. The select board, Kate, who's not here, Kate Kirkwood, that's Kate, my sister, is always available to converse with the town, and I urge people even just to come, even if you don't have anything to say, and listen to what's going on, and maybe it spurs a question.
Those meetings are on Zoom, aren't they?
Yes,
Yes.
they are.
They are.
The Zoom link is always on the top of the agenda, and there's also a permanent link to it on the Select Board page of the website near the top. It says, click here, and that accesses the Zoom meeting. They start at 6. Just click, I admit you in, and there you go. And as I said, it's in there, so the owl works very well in the town office. And Timothy has another question.
Okay, Tim.
Go ahead, Tim.
Hey, I pulled up that agenda that was put on, I think, the Select Board website, and there appeared to be a link to this meeting. However, I was unsuccessful in doing it. It said that the link was
I made the link.
not functional.
Okay, my fault. I did have to reschedule the meeting, and so it gave it a different number, and that, I pulled from last year's agenda and so that was my fault.
I finally found it and got to where you are, but
Okay.
it looked like it was the same bloody number,
Thank you for pointing that out, and it will not happen in the future.
Yeah. So what day do you post the agenda?
The agendas go up 2 days before the scheduled meeting.
Yeah. So if you on Tuesday, you check the agenda. If there's anything that's a hot topic for you, really recommend that you come or Zoom in.
Yeah, Tuesday afternoons.
The more input that we have, the better that we can do our job. And are you up for re-election this year?
Huh?
Are you up for re-election?
Huh?
Somebody's got to be up for
It's got all kinds
re-election.
of time.
Yeah. All right. So if there are no further comments, I think we'll draw this meeting to a close.
Last call before the meeting shuts down online. Oh no, they're
Check.
all thumb upping.
They're
They're thumb
thumbing
upping. Okay, thank you, everybody.